Need help?
No, I'm just starting the recording. Yeah. Hello, 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 hello. It's good. Hello. 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 Hi. Okay, shall we start? It's the second time I give lectures in this room. I feel like a rock star already. Welcome to the kickoff of the research block. You can see that we are joined by all the students from the second year, so ESM and software engineering, and we are also spiritually joined by all the software engineering students in Den Haag, BNM, and NSA, and all the other locations. Because this block is for all HBO ICT, and basically we are going to be doing more or less the same thing, and doing also taking part in the same topics, research topics that the other students are going to work with. First of all, a very quick message. You don't need to panic, because this is the only part of this course that's going to be given in English, because basically I didn't have time to translate everything to Dutch and prepare everything in Dutch. So if you can manage to go through this part in English, then you'll be fine through the rest of this block. Okay. So first, let's start with some question for you guys. Basically, what I would like to know is that if anybody of you have some experience in research. Only one finger up. Okay, so I'm a little bit disappointed, because the software engineering students have done my human-machine interaction course. And that, in a way, I think I mentioned it a few times, it is kind of a research experiment into the usability of some system that we have built. So I expected like half or a third of the room to have their finger up. But, okay, that's okay. Another question is, does any of you is any of you interested in doing research, or came to school thinking like research is something that they are interested in doing? Okay. Okay, cool. So now we also have an idea about where everybody's motivation is. Okay. So you can see from the next slide is that I predicted this answer, and it's not because I'm a very smart guy or because I can read the future, but it's because I've given the same course the past 2 years, and I've had the exact same reaction from the students. And the thing is that, so we are here in the University of Applied Science, and this is like not a very theoretical education, and the students that are here are also not into doing research, because research is something that's associated with big name universities like Harvard, Stanford, maybe TU Delft, or University of Eindhoven, or something like this. But what you will start to notice when you finish your education here and go into the marketplace and start applying for jobs is that people who are, the companies who are looking for employees are not really focusing on the technical aspects or the technical skills that you may have. They assume that the software engineer can program. And if you cannot really program exactly in the language that they have, or to the speed that they have, or to the standards that they have their own training programs, and they can bring you up, up to speed with the way of working that they have. But in the interview process, you will notice that the interviewers are focusing more on critical thinking skills and problem-solving skills. And they really want to pick out the people who have the most advanced abilities in this kind of field. These skills you can only learn with creative kind of topics, and topics that don't follow a specific recipe where like type in some things and then the program runs. You need some creative thinking, and there are very, very limited blocks in the education, at least in the software engineering education, which I'm familiar with. There's like the second year, there's the innovation entrepreneurship, where you can do something creative, and then you can work on these skills, and this block, which is the research block. And of course, if you take my minor in the fourth year, you will also have the advanced research block, where you can work on this even further. One argument that you can have is that, hey, this is all nice and good, but maybe I will not work on a job that needs this. I will learn it when I need it. Unfortunately, you cannot learn it when you need it. It's not like an equation that you can look up in a book or something that you can apply, a new programming technique. These are things that you can only learn by doing. And that's why it's very important that you participate into this project. And that's why this block is going to be very applied. You will work with real-world opdrachtgevers and with us as the coaching team for research. And then you will start to work on these, on solving these problems. One thing else that we always also hear from students is that, hey, you know what? I have no talent for research. If I was a researcher, I would have gone to a technical university, but this is also not true. And I don't just want to give you a motivational speech now, but I have done this in the minor. So I have a research minor for fourth year students. And this minor was joined by people who just wanted to have this studiepunte, and then they can like call it a day and move on. And I had students who were very motivated and very smart. And by the end of the minor, every student from every level develop the, let's say, reasoning skills where they can actually look at the problem, divide it into smaller problems, start to tackle it, and then have the logic in their brain working so that they can get a conclusion from one part, apply it to the other part, and then reach a greater conclusion, and thereby solving a complicated problem in a very systematic approach. So it's not that I'm just saying, hey, everybody can do it. It's like, yeah, I've seen people who had difficult problems, and then we work together continuously, and then by the end of the minor is also 10 weeks. By the end of the minor, they were able to do basic research. And this is also what we are going to do with you guys in the next 10 weeks. Okay, so a bit of introduction of what research actually is. So just to illustrate things, so let's assume that this circle represents the knowledge of all humanity. So everything that everybody knows, like mathematics, science, biology, is inside this circle. There's a circle of knowledge. When you start learning in school, you start learning part of this, the basics. You start from the center, and then when you finish high school, you're like in this green region, so you learn a little bit more, and then you start going to the university, and then you start specializing in a specific topic. So you guys are into ICT, so you're learning about ICT, and then when you start doing some research, you will start reading the scientific articles that other people have written. And then when you read the scientific articles, if you read the scientific article that was published last year or this year, then you're actually reaching in that specific topic the edge of the human knowledge, because this is the latest findings in this specific topic is published in this scientific paper. It's like the most cutting edge thing that people know on this topic. And then if we focus on that specific topic, you're going to start doing research and try things out that no one has done before. And then you will keep trying to push that edge of human knowledge until after some time, you will make a little bit of a dent. And then this human knowledge, the circle that contains all human knowledge, is going to grow a very tiny bit. Fortunately, there are a lot of other people who are also trying to push the circle in other areas, and thereby the circle of human knowledge will increase in size, hopefully. Now, this is something very important that I want to say. Inside this field, inside this little dent that you guys are going to create, something very cool happens. You guys will be the most knowledgeable people on earth in that very, very specific point. Not me, not your coach, not your opdrachtgever will know more about this area of science than you guys. It's going to be a very, very tiny area of science, but you guys will be the most knowledgeable people on earth about this specific topic, which is something that gives you an advantage if you, by luck, find someone who is interested in that very, very specific piece of knowledge that you have done you're going to work on. I'll give an example of a project that students here in the DIF have worked on. So this is a virtual reality game that is developed by Vincent Brura, one of our colleagues, and the aim of this virtual reality game is to help little children with severe autism to be able to navigate through the streets. And although the game was good to train these children, what happened is that the children were getting very dizzy if they use this, the virtual reality headset for more than 5-10 minutes. And Vincent came to us in the minor and said, hey, can you do research into reducing the amount of dizziness that these children are experiencing? And then after looking at the literature, what we found out is that if you actually blur the edges of the image, so if you look at the edges of the picture, then hopefully you can see that if you blur the edges, so the edges are a little bit more blurred, but you keep the center sharp. So the center where you're looking at is sharp, but the edges of the picture are blurred. And here's a zoomed in version. What we noticed is that doing this effect actually reduces the dizziness of the users. And we tried multiple things. We tried things that made the dizziness worse, and we tried this technique, which made the dizziness actually better. So the students did this research. They wrote an article about it. They made the statistical analysis with SPSS. And then you can see that where these red arrows are, these red arrows represent a statistical significance in the results. So you can see that, this is what's called empirical research. So you don't do research by studying theories, but you do research, very applied research, by doing tests with real people, and you try real applications or devices, and then you reach conclusions that you can actually apply. So the new version of the software has already been given to the client and is now being used on these autistic children. So this is actually something of a success story. And it's just one example of a research project that was conducted by students just like you here in the DIF, in the room in the first floor, and the results have already been applied and used. Okay, so enough inspirational talk. Let's focus on the project at hand. So in this course, we're going to use semi-synchronous learning. So this is a fancy word into saying that we are not going to have the classical type of lectures. And you can imagine the difficulties with giving a lecture to a big group of people. Some of them are more into research than others. So the solution was to create online study material. And these are 19 videos that I created with Tim Cox. And he basically explains the material in all the lectures that was given before in these online videos. Each video handles a specific topic. So when you need to work on that topic during your project or while you're making any of the reports that you will need for this course, then you are going to refer to that specific video if you need help, and then you can watch the information that's only relevant for what you're working on, and then you can continue working. And then, of course, if you don't understand it, you can rewatch it over and over and over again until you understand it. If you don't understand it after watching the video, you can go to your coach. And if the coach cannot help, then you can come to me or Tim for further questions. Of course, you have to try to watch the videos before you ask for help. If we see that you are asking for help, but you haven't tried to get the information you want from the videos, we will just send you back to watch the videos. Only if you're stuck, then you can ask for more help if you need it. And then next to these videos, we have these workshops. So there are workshops for making research questions, and there are the workshops which in your roster is called the Horcollage. So for these Horcollages, we're going to focus more on applying the knowledge that you will learn from these videos into working on cases, making the research questions, and into practicing basically for problems that you will get in your exam. We will be solving some questions that are similar to what you will get later on in order to make sure that you have understood the theory and you can apply it well. So what we are definitely not going to do is that we're not going to show these videos during the lecture. You're going to watch the lectures at home, not lectures, they're videos. The videos are only 5 to 10 minutes long, they're not full lectures. And so you watch them at home, you'll prepare some kind of homework or some research questions for the interactive workshop, and then during the workshop, we're going to discuss with you the use cases. Okay. So this is just to show that the effort that went into making these videos. So we did some filming here in the diff. We did some filming also in The Hague. After filming these videos, we also spent some time on adding graphics in order to help you guys understand what is inside, what's meant by everything. And it took a lot of time of editing. So a lot of sleepless nights and busy weekends were spent on these videos. So I really hope you appreciate them. You can use them and benefit from them. And if you have any feedback, then you can also let me know how we can improve them later in order to fit your needs better. Okay. The material that is handled in these videos is from this book, which I forgot to bring. But the book is really nice. It's not very big. It's a very small book. It's written in plain Dutch. There is an English version if you want to prefer to read the English version. And basically, the book goes through the entire process of doing research from the beginning to analyzing the results and then writing an article about it. And the videos are just explaining the theory that's in the book. While doing your research, and again, I know this because we've given this course before and we know the kind of challenges that the students are going to face, you are going to reach a lot of situations where you are arguing with your teammates and be like, hey, I think that this research is qualitative, and the other person will be like, no, this research is quantitative. Or like, I think this research is beschrijvend, and the other will say this research is explorerend. And then you will need to go back to the book because the book has some examples. It has a detailed definition of each of these concepts. It has examples of cases, research cases for each of the concepts that are explained. So it's very important that you have the book as a reference, because even when you go to your coach, then the coach will also open the book and then start to try to apply the definitions on the question that you have, and then try to reach the correct conclusion based on the knowledge of the book. The book is also useful for preparing for the exam. So the first 3 chapters of the book are the exam material, and the first 14 videos are also the exam material. Technically, you can learn from the videos everything you need for the exams, but it's also nice to have the book to learn from. But in any case, we need to have at least one member of each group to own the book, because while doing the project, you will need to use the book to solve some challenges. This is basically how we're going to do the work. So we are going to have you guys form groups, and each group is going to be consist of 4 students, and I've got already people who want to have groups of 2 students. I've got people who want to have groups of 5 students. But as much as I would like to accommodate everybody and keep everybody happy, it's coordinating this course with all the students is kind of challenging, and therefore, in order to have, because every group will have a report that needs to be assessed, they will have portfolios that need to be read, we'll have to schedule assessments for them. So we have to stick to the recipe that we have already created, and the recipe says 4 students per group. So today we are going to form these groups. I already printed out the forms. You guys can fill each form with the names of the students and the student the student numbers, and you will fill in also the topic that you would like to do during this research. I'll go through the topics at the end of this presentation. In order to get information, you will have 2 sources of information. One will be the Opdrachtgever, and the Opdrachtgevers that we have prepared for you are members of the research lectorates. So members of the research lectorates, these are researchers that are working at the University in Den Haag, and they basically have real research topics that they are working on, and they would like to have answers for. So the work that you're going to perform is going to help real researchers working in the university in order to reach results that they need. So, and then you will have meetings with them every Wednesday. So these meetings are scheduled, and they are all in Den Haag. So you can go to Den Haag to meet with them. And besides the Opdrachtgever, you will also have the coaches. So the coaches are, come on guys, shh, shh. Shh. So the coaches are just staff here, so lecturers from the Hague University, and we are going to guide you through doing the research. So if you have any questions about how to perform something, if you are stuck on some point and you're not sure how to proceed, then every Wednesday is reserved in the agenda. You don't have any lectures or workshops, so you can have a meeting with the coach to guide you through the problems that you have. So the Opdrachtgevers are all researchers in Den Haag, and you can ask them questions about research, but it's and if they are nice, they will answer you, but it's not their job to answer your questions about research. If you have any questions about research, then your main contact person is the coach that you have here in Zoetermeer. Okay. What you will also notice is that what we also know from past experience is that students who do this project as nice students, as predictable students as they are always going to divide the project. They will look at the assessments form, and the assessment form will have like research question, methodology, operationaliseren, stuff like this. And then they will go through these points one by one with their coach, and it's like, okay, I've done this. Is this correct? Can you give me like this check mark and say if it's correct, then I can move on to the next point. And this is not really exactly how the research works, because, and if I can take a metaphor from life, so research is not really a straightforward line, because basically you're doing something that has not been done before, and nobody knows the answer. Not your coach, not yourself. And what we are looking for is not the correct answer. So it's not like some research. So for example, for the virtual reality project, the answer could have been that none of the approaches would help improve dizziness, and that people will stay dizzy the whole time, no matter what you do. Now, does this mean that the research has failed? No, the research has shown that this path is not going to lead anywhere. So what we focus on is not the results. What we focus on is the research methodology that you follow. So like all your decisions have to follow the scientific rigor. So you have to do it in a proper scientific manner, and also your reasoning in your work has to be done correctly. And the whole project kind of depends on itself. So you can have a perfectly good methodology and a perfectly good research question, but if your methodology does not fit with your research question, then your project is not good. Even though each component of your project has been goedgekeurd, your project is still bad and you cannot reach any results because the steps you are taking just don't fit with each other. So it's your responsibility to make sure that your project is done properly and not the other way around. Let's see. So a little bit about the organization of the course. The course is a little bit organized in a somewhat complicated way. I try to simplify it as much as possible, but because it's divided in all locations, it's like it has been done in a kind of interesting structure. But basically, you can see the blue parts as the research project that you're going to get. And we have split it into two halves. One half is the research proposal, basically the plan that you're going to do the research. And without a good plan, you cannot do proper research. So that's why we have split it and made the assessment point earlier in the process, so that before you waste your time conducting research that's not planned well, you can get proper feedback from your coaches and get advice to improve your research plan if it's not done properly yet. So this is the RTT, which is the research proposal, trends in technology, and then the RTT, which is the research project, basically. Here you're going to apply your research. Here you're going to apply, you're going to perform the plan that you have done in order to conduct the research. So here you're going to collect the data, start to analyze the data, and then make the report that you're going to submit in the end. Now, in parallel to these two blocks, you will have the EWR, which is Exploring World of Research. This is where you're going to get the theory that you need in order to conduct the research. So this now mainly consists of the video recordings and the book. There is also an exam in week 5 and we have it a little bit earlier so that you can learn everything you need about the research, and then you can apply it on conducting your project. So for now, I want to have a quick look on the Blackboard page. And before I do that, does anyone have any questions so far? Yes. Yes, so there are limits on each topic, because of course we don't have unlimited capacity from the coaches to supervise students, but I will talk about the topics a little bit later. If there are any questions about the course format, what you need to do? Well, let's just go through the Blackboard page then. Let's see. not very readable. Okay, so if you go to the Blackboard page and you will see that there's the announcements, and then on the left there will be the course information, and there will be learning paths, and the learning paths you can choose for SA, ESM, Zoetermeer. If you choose for SA, ESM, Zoetermeer, then you will see this page, and in the first page, you will see the links. So in the first tab on the left, so it's the learning material. You will see the link to the book. And this is the book I showed you, and the link where you can find it. And you will see the links to the videos and each topic for each video. If we then go to the EWR part, let's see. So okay, if we go to the EWR part, then you will see that we have a list of the lectures that you guys need to do. And for the first lecture, we already have the topics that will be discussed and the videos that you guys need to watch before the lecture. So this is the lecture is for next week on the 30th of April. And basically in there, we are going to discuss things like dual stelling, unlading, and making your research question. And we are going to, so basically we're going to work in groups. We'll start the lecture by asking you guys about the case that you will read, and we'll see your opinions about it. We'll see how many of you agree with each other, and from there we will work on other cases. We're going to discuss in groups, and then we will see, we'll try to get from each case the answers to the questions you're going to get. And the contents of the other lectures are, I will update them hopefully this week on Blackboard. Okay, next to the interactive lectures, we also have the exam. And for the exam, you will have, there's a proof toots. So there is a document where you have a sample exam similar to the one you're going to get. And there is a separate document where you have the answers for the questions, so you can check if you have reached the correct answers. This is not very readable. Let's see if we can increase the size. But you will see also that there is this cheat sheet, and this cheat sheet is a document that has the concepts that are going to be asked about in the exam, so the things that you will need to remember, and all the possible answers or alternatives for each of these concepts. So you will help yourself a lot if you go through this cheat sheet and make sure that you understand what each of the concepts that are in that page mean. Because basically these are the things that you're going to be asked about during the exam. And the last part of the Exploring the World of Research course is the Congresplan. In the Congresplan, The assignment is explained in these 3 documents. You're basically going to look on the internet for conferences that are interesting for you to visit, and then you're going to make a plan of conferences that you will visit if you had unlimited budget, and then you can go to any conference you want. And you will also visit one conference, but you don't have to make it a big conference. It can be something local within the Netherlands, and you will write a short report about the conference you have visited and your experience of that conference. And you will take a selfie of yourself in the conference to show us that you have actually been there. So you have to either go to the conference, or you should have really good Photoshop skills. Okay, so this is the part about the exploring the world of research. Are there any questions about this part? Because then I'm moving to the next part. So it's very straightforward. It's an exam and a report that you have to deliver about visiting conferences. And there will be 3 interactive lectures where you're going to practice the material that you're going to see in the videos. Okay. For the trends in technology, for the research proposal part, you are going to have a few interactive sessions. The first 2 sessions are going to be this week and next week, and they are designed to help you formulate your research questions. And research questions, formulating proper research questions, is something that seems very easy, but it's actually really, really difficult. And I only say this because year after year, we have seen that the students always struggle with making good research questions. So this year, we are going to focus these workshops entirely on working on the research questions for your project. And before the first workshop, we expect that you already have a first draft of the research questions that you're going to present, and then you're going to get feedback during the workshop from the coach and the other students, and you can revise it and present it again during the workshop itself. So this is something that you'll have to do this week already. You will have to start by watching the videos, video 6 and video 7, about how to make your research questions, and make a first draft after meeting the opdrachtgever. The opdrachtgevers you will meet tomorrow to get the information about the project, and then you're going to start working on your research question. Some of you have the workshop for research questions on Wednesday, late in the afternoon. Others have it on Thursday. Students that will be in my group will have it on Thursday. And there we're already going to start revising your research questions. Once you have the research questions ready, you're going to prepare your research proposal, and then you're going to give a pitch, basically a short presentation about your research proposal. And this will be your first chance to get feedback about the ideas that you have for your research. And this will be in week 3. You will have 2 coaches there to give you feedback about what they think of your research, and you will also get feedback from the other students. So this will be your third chance to get feedback on your proposal. And during the pitch, we are going to also assess your proposal based on the final assessment form that we have, because this will also help improve your grade when you get the proposal to the final form. So this will be in week 3. In week 4, there will be peer reviews. Peer reviews basically means the students will review each other. So by then, your guys are going to be experts in research. and you're going to know exactly what needs to be in the research proposal. And this will be your chance to show your fellow students your skills and how bad they are compared to you. So there will be the peer review feedback form is there. You're going to fill in you're going to read the proposal of the other group. So each group will bring 2 copies of the research proposal. They will give them to 2 other groups, and by that, each group will read 2 research proposals from 2 other groups, and then you will fill the feedback and you will submit it to the group. This feedback will be included in the final research proposal that you will submit at the end of so the last step. You will submit it at the end of the first half of this block, and you will be graded on the quality of the feedback that you give, and you will also be graded on the implementing all the comments that you got in the feedback. So the names of the group that gave the feedback will be on the feedback form, and it will be attached to your own research proposal. So we'll see if you actually use this feedback in order to improve the proposal you have provided. So this will be week 4, and then after that, you will finalize your research proposal and you will submit it. And the submission deadline is the 19th of May at midnight. So at the end of the day on the 19th. So this is the second part of the project, which is the research proposal. Is everything clear about this part?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. And then let's see if we can have it here. So maybe also good to show. So these are the learning paths. It's a bit difficult to click on things like this, but basically the 2 parts. So if you go to the Blackboard page and then you click on learning paths, that's the last link on the left, and then you'll see this page. And the 2 parts that you will need to use, like for all you students who are here, is the first one, which is the RTT, which is the project that's followed by all the students. And then you are going to click on the SA and ESM Zoetermeer in order to see the EWR and RTT. So explain mode of research and the research proposal, because these are a little bit different for each location. So again, the things that you are going to use is the first one, P8 RTT project gemeenschappelijk idee. Everybody will use this, no locations, and the other part will be the 4th one, so for software engineering and ESM students in Zoetermeer. So if we click on the first part, let's see. So if I click on the first part, so you'll see that this part I didn't do myself, so it's a little bit, the organization is a little bit involved. But you will see that, for example, you have the research topics here on the left, and you can see the research topics in different folders. And you will see also information about the assessments of this part. Basically, if you go through the Blackboard page, what you will find out is that for this part, there are 2 things you will need to deliver. There will be a research report that you will need to deliver in the end. Basically, after you give the proposal and you get the feedback, then you do the research. And after you finish the research, you will write a report. This report will contain the final results and conclusions that you have from your research. So this is the thing that you will show us in how you did your research. Next to that, there will be a poster you will make for your research. Basically, you summarize your whole report into one poster, A1 size poster, and you're going to give this to us. No, you're going to present this in the symposium. there will be a symposium in The Hague, which is going to be given on the, I don't know the date by heart, I think it's the 19th of June, where all the students from all locations will go to the NAS, and then everybody's going to present their work to each other, and I believe the winner poster is also going to be decided, and they will receive something from the university. So the end of the, okay, we're almost done. So just focus a little bit more, and then we can get this done. So the end of the RTT part is the research report, the poster, and the symposium that you're going to attend in the end of this block. There will also be an assessment where you're going to present your project to the coach and some other assessor, and they will also have read your report. There will be a small discussion about your work, and then you will get a grade for your work. Okay, so this involves the organization of the course, the work you're going to do, and the organization of the Blackboard page. Are there any questions about this part? All right. So, you guys want a short break, or shall we continue? Okay, let's have a short break, and then we will go into the details and start forming the groups.
Now first phone in.
Yeah, so 4 students per group.